When will each Fatui Harbinger appear in the Genshin Impact story? With the release of the interlude teaser, it was revealed on who are all the members of the Fatui Harbingers. Today, I wanted to speculate on which nation will the remaining 7 Harbingers, the Marionette, the Knave, the Captain, the Regrader, the Rooster, and the Jester, would appear in the Genshin Impact story. Let's begin. Currently, 4 out of the 11 Harbingers have appeared over the span of 4 nations. The Fair Lady, who was introduced in Mondstadt, Childe, that was introduced in Liyue, Scaramouche, that was introduced in Inazuma, and the Doctor, who was introduced in our current nation, Sumeru. That's a very low appearance rate. Considering there's only 3 nations left, I think there would be 2 Harbingers being introduced for one nation, instead of the normal 1 Harbinger per nation. Beginning with the city we are currently in, Sumeru, I actually think we will get another Harbinger, not just the Doctor. And it isn't Scaramouche too, though he'll likely appear as well. I speculate that Columbina, the 3rd of the Fatui Harbingers, will make an appearance as well. In the interlude teaser, she had told the Doctor that he looked young today, followed by a scene of him burning down a giant tree, most likely Erminsel. I think what will happen is that near the end of the Archon quest, the Damselette makes an appearance, as the Doctor needs her assistance to help burn Erminsel. Looking at her mesmerizing but creepy appearance, I have no doubt she is very well capable of doing that. It wouldn't be a full introduction of her character, she'll just have a small cameo near the end of the quest. For the next nation, Fontaine, the 2 Harbingers I speculate that will be present there are the Marionette and the Regrader. With Fontaine seemingly being technologically advanced compared to the other nations, those 2 fit in very well. Sandrone's outfit and robot has that steampunk aesthetic, and she seems to be an expert in creating ruin guards and automatons. Perfect for Fontaine, due to its setting of technological novelty. Also, I think the ruin guard factory we went into in Childe's story quest was actually Sandrone's, so that's why she hates him so much. I chose the Regrader too, because he's the wealthiest of all of the Harbingers, and his businessman personality would match in the 5th nation with the technologically advanced, like I previously mentioned. Though I'd still say Liyue matches more, especially since he's secretly Baizu in disguise. Especially since he's already affiliated with the nation. I was initially not going to place him in Fontaine, as he seems to not like leaving his nation being called out by the Knave. My idea for their boss fight though was too good to pass up, so I placed him here. Imagine this, when the Traveler arrives, he finds out that he's up against the 2 of them, but he's not worried at all, because their Harbinger rank is not too high. Sandrone and Pantalone know this, and realized that their only chance of beating the strong Traveler is if they work together and face him at the same time, so it will be a 2 versus 1. I also like the idea of Sandrone being the puppet, and will do most of the attacking, while the Regrader will be the puppeteer, and control all of her movements. Their strategy of battling also makes more sense, since the Regrader doesn't have a vision to aid him. Having dual battles will be a great way to incorporate the other lower-ranked Harbingers into a boss fight, as there would be no suspense if the Traveler is against the 10th, when he already defeated the 8th, so obviously the Traveler will win. Or, they could just not have every Harbinger have a boss fight. That also works, just make sure they don't get turned to ash, please. After the Harbingers of Fontaine, let's now move into Natlan. My first pick is Capitano, for some pretty good reasons, and he was definitely the easiest to place into a nation. Biggest reason is that in Varka's letter to the Knights of Favonius, he claims that the captain received orders to go into Natlan, and is currently going there. He must have stayed for a really long time for the Traveler to still have reached him there, but the canon timeline of events are very wacky, so I don't doubt that too much. Another reason is that his build and appearance reminds me of a strong warrior or fighter, and is even mentioned in Varka's letter that he's really tough for a mortal. It's also a common theory that the captain is actually the bloodstained knight. Meeting a very strong fighter in Natlan, where the god of war resides, makes a lot of sense, and would match perfectly. For my next pick, I chose the Knave, purely because she seems quick to action, isn't afraid of confrontations, and seems to be more capable of combat, compared to the other Harbingers, also matching with the nation, where the god of war is its ruler. She also had to be in a nation that was not Shneznaya, because she called out the other Harbingers for not leaving the comforts of their homeland, so it would be hypocritical if we only met her in her homeland. The captain and the knave would be a great contrast to my past picked Harbingers, the marionette and the regrader, where the first pair is more methodical, slow and strategic with every move, while the captain and the knave are dynamic and is very quick to action. Their different ways of thinking also matches the ideals of the city they are in. Finally, for our last nation, where the Fatui Harbingers and Cryo Archon reign supreme, it's Shneznaya. This is where the remaining Harbingers will be shown. In this case there's 3 left. First is Columbina, the damselette, where she will get her official introduction and meet the traveler. I placed her here because, judging by the few seconds I saw her, she strikes me as someone who doesn't enjoy traveling at all to other nations and getting her hands dirty just to fulfill small duties. Unless she absolutely needs to be there, like the doctor's situation in Sumeru. Second is the rooster, or the name I will not even try to pronounce. I placed him in Shneznaya because in the Tevat chapter trailer, he was shown as the character for Shneznaya, and if the current pattern continues, the character shown will only appear in that nation. Another reason I placed him in Shneznaya because the knave said that he never leaves the comforts of their nation, always having an excuse to stay. I know the same logic applies to the rooster, but my boss battle idea I just couldn't abandon, and it would make more sense for the rooster to stay, story-wise. Since he's very kind to Childe's family, I would like to imagine that he will end up being our guide around the snowy nation, and even take care of the traveler and Paimon. Then he ends up having an ulterior motive, making us lose his trust again. And for the last Harbinger shown, it's the Jester. I mean, it would make sense for them to keep the strongest Harbinger hidden until the very end. It would be more suspenseful if the final Harbinger we see was the one who started it all, and not like the 4th-ranked Harbinger or something. I also don't see any reason why he would have any purpose for going to a different nation when he oversees everything and can just assign someone else for the job. I also speculate that the doctor's part in the story wouldn't be done yet, and we would get to see him again in their territory. Actually, I think that would be the case for all of the Harbingers, and they'd finalize their unsolved business with the Traveler. That is my speculation for when each Fatui Harbinger will appear in the Genshin Impact story. Don't take this video seriously at all, as this was all just speculation, and was mostly done just for fun. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe and like if you ended up enjoying this video, as I put a lot of effort into it. Bye.